Hello everybody, we're out for a hike in the Blue Mountain Birch Cove Lakes area. We're on the trail to the Fox Lake Lookoff, and I've shown you that before, but I'm going to show it to you again. I'm here with my good friend Tim O'Brien, and Tim is a fellow bushcrafter, and Tim has just agreed to join us on the Nova Scotia Bushcraft Executive, so he's helping us plan right now. He's helping us plan the gathering for this coming August, and I know I haven't mentioned the gathering yet this year, but I will. We'll have another talk about the gathering shortly so that I can give that information to anybody who's interested in coming to Nova Scotia and joining us bushcrafters at the Nova Scotia Bushcraft Gathering. But today we're just out for a hike. We've seen a few plants along the way. It's the perfect time of year to start seeing things as as edibles and medicinals before they get too big. And yeah, we're not too many flies out today. Beautiful weather, warmer than expected, but that's what we hope for all summer long, isn't it? So Tim, I don't know if you want to say anything. Say hello to the group.
Hi everybody. Thanks for having me, and can't wait to meet people in August. Take care.
Great. Okay, we're just going to go along. I'll show you a little bit of what we find along the way, show you from the look-off, and it's just going to be a short video today, but hope you enjoy. Thanks for following us along. So we found our first patch of Clintonia, blue bead lily, corn lily, or I used to call them when I was a kid, snake lily. And this is just getting into the flower stage. It'll be another month probably, or maybe a couple of weeks before the blue berries come out on the end of the stalks there. But the leaves are quite tasty. They taste like cucumber, and better when they're young, but as they get older you can still eat them. They might get a little tougher, a little bit more bitter, but if you cook them then they still retain that cucumber flavor, and they have considerable nutrition. So a nice little find, a first of ours just after we entered into the woods. So we've just come across a nice little patch of cinnamon fern all through back here, and cinnamon fern gets its name from the distinctive central stalk that comes up, and these are still quite young and green, but they turn a very nice cinnamon color. A lot of people will think these are ostrich fern, which is the classic fiddlehead that we like to eat in the spring, but there are differences, and people should know that these are not something that you should eat. There is some debate whether or not they'll cause you harm, but most of the research seems to indicate that eating these in quantity can cause cancer, so why take the chance? So this is the cinnamon fern, and for those who are interested in knowing the big distinguishing feature, other than once you see the two of them side by side you'll know them by their leaves, is if you reach down to the stalks and you look at the stalk. Now you may not be able to see this. This has a fuzzy coating on the stalk right here, and when the fiddlehead, the same swirl thing that comes out of the ground, will have that same fuzziness on it. The real fiddlehead from the ostrich fern will have a papery sheath which will fall right off. This is a little harder to get off if you were trying to eat them. The other big distinguishing feature, and the reason why I'm cleaning the stalk off, is that the stalks have a D shape on the cinnamon fern, meaning the inside is flat and the rest of it is rounded. Whereas the real fiddlehead, the one on the ostrich fern, has a deeply indented inside of the stalk. And that's your way of knowing the difference. Alright, let's see what else we can find. So right next to our patch of cinnamon fern is a nice patch of golden thread. And golden thread is kind of unique. It's probably the only, at least natural or indigenous source of a chemical known as berberine, in Nova Scotia that is. There are some invasive plants like the barberry which have berberine in the roots, and I'll talk about berberine in a second, but let's see why it has the name golden root or golden thread, quite often called. So it's usually found in softwood forests, in a mossy undergrowth, and if I pull into the undergrowth, get a little handful of it, good example right there, you can see the golden root that extends from this, and that's what the coloration comes from, the chemical berberine. Now berberine has research to support it, as well as ancient tradition to say this has anti-cancerous medication or anti-cancerous properties to it. So this is golden thread or golden root, and I'll provide the Latin name for your educational purposes, and this is the berberine coloring that comes in it. Alright, moving on. Alright, just not a very good patch, probably not the best for identification, but it is in the sunshine. So I'm looking at partridge berry right here, and what we call partridge berry, I'll provide the Latin name for clarification. It does have, or other plants have been known as partridge berries in other parts of the Maritimes as well. But you can see how it has a double calyx on the top of the berry. So it would come out like a double bloom and then form one berry afterwards. And they are edible, and they are similar to the wintergreen in taste, not near as strong, but it's a bit of a seedy, little mealy berry, but it is edible, so it makes a nice trail nibble. You'd never well, if you found enough, I suppose you can make a small meal of them, but you're never going to use it as a survival food. It's more of just a nice little treat or a nice little snack in the woods. All right, let's see what else we can find. So we just found a nice little patch of bunchberries. We've been passing them through, but I just wanted to find a set that was good to look at. You'll see that there's two different types of bunchberries, and again, this is not a full identification. I wanted to show these because these are early enough in the spring that we're seeing the flower on them. So this is bunchberry in flower. And what you'll notice is that there's a bunchberry here with 6 leaves, petals, and one with 4. And they're both the same plant, but it's the 6th leaf petal, the one that now has the flower, that'll eventually produce the berry that you can eat late in the season. What I'm not sure of, and I'll have to look up to confirm, is whether or not they are male, female, or if it's first year, second year, and I'll look that up, and somebody can obviously chime in and correct me if I'm wrong. So these are bunchberries, nice little snack. Sometimes I've heard them referred to as crackerberries, and again I'll provide the Latin name as well. So we're up on the top of Fox Lake Lookoff. There's the iconic teepee over there. If I can get in a little closer. And I'm just going to do a 360 pan all the way around. So what I've probably said before, we're right in the heart of an urban area with a huge 1,500 acre wilderness right in the center. And it's a beautiful place to be. Now as I turn, I'm going to lose you through the wind noise, so I apologize now, so I'm just going to make that turn. Alright, so just another quick look at another plant that's worth knowing. So this is very, very common in the understory of certainly the Acadian forest here in Nova Scotia, and probably in the boreal forest as well. And I didn't know what it was for the longest time, but it was so prominent that I had to learn what it was. I've never used it as a medicinal, but it's reported to have some medicinal properties and can be used for a tea. This is the Sarsparilla plant. Now I know there is another Sarsparilla plant out in the western US and western Canada, but this is the Sarsparilla plant that grows here in Nova Scotia. It also has an almost identical look to the wild ginger plant, so it's very similar. So again, this is not an identification, but just a quick overview. If you see these on the forest floor, it usually has a single stalk rising up, dividing into 3, if I can get in close enough for you to see that. And on each of 3 of those stalks is this compound leaf that usually has between 5 and 7 leaflets. So that's the Sarsparilla plant. It's always great to be able to identify this. And look at this right next door. Small little fir tree just growing up with some nice evergreen on the edges. That is soft enough that you could actually pick that off right now and eat it as is. But boy, what a lovely cup of tea it makes this time of year. And I know we haven't talked about fir and other softwoods as tea sources, but this is the time of year to get the nicest tasting cup of tea is from those little greens. Just don't pick too many off of any one tree because you want the tree to grow. But they are quite soft, and when they're that small, you could actually throw them in a salad or eat them directly as well. A little bit of a stronger flavor, but still edible as well. Okay, let's keep going on. All right, hopefully it's not too windy that you can't hear me. We just came out to a nice little point overlooking the lake, and I'll show you that in a second. But I look down, and here's one of my favorite, not so much as Labrador tea is, but I like this a lot. This is sweet fern, and sweet fern makes a wonderful tea, and it does have medicinal properties. We have talked about it in the past in other videos. And often people will refer to this thinking it's a fern because of the leaves, but it is not a fern. As you can see, it does have a woody stalk. The leaves just look somewhat like fern-like. So it's great insect repellent too. I have rubbed it on my skin. Now it doesn't last very long, but it does work to repel bugs to a certain degree. But yeah, here's another one. So we'll look along and see what else we can find. So while not an edible, certainly something very pretty, very ephemeral because it won't last too long, and of course that is the pink lady slippers. So we have a bunch of them here. I don't usually see them in groupings. Here we have got a grouping of, looks like 6. But usually I see them singly like that. So it's just kind of cool to see these because they're not going to be around too much longer. So they're very pretty and a nice sign of spring here. Right next to them, right next to this fir tree with its new green growth on the end, we just tried to taste it and it's just beyond the edible part. Now still make a great cup of tea. But right behind that, this is what is known as wild raisins. So while you can't see it right now, this will eventually produce a berry which will look late in the fall kind of like a raisin. It'll be a little elongated and black and shriveled, and it is edible. And it does taste like a raisin. It does have a big seed in it, but it's still quite an edible berry. Probably makes a great jam or a jelly once the seeds are strained out, but they are edible if you want to taste. It's not something I'd eat too many of, because like too many raisins or dates, you'll know it the next day. So always great to be able to identify these, especially this time of year, so that you know where the plants are and you can come back to them later. So another great day in the woods. Tim and I are just on our way out now. It's late afternoon, and lots of sunlight left. We've had a wonderful time. I'd agree, would you? Yeah.
Fantastic day.
Yeah,
Just beautiful day.
So this is Tim's first time into this area of the wilderness area, and we showed him a few sites. We saw lots of plants, edible medicinal plants along the way, things that you don't see all the time, and that was enjoyable, just finding those things and going along. But like all good things, it must come to an end. We all have to go back to what we have to do back in the real world, unfortunately. But look forward to seeing this face at the Nova Scotia Bushcraft Gathering. Tim comes with a lot of experience, a lot of energy, and we're really happy to have him involved with us. So those of you who are attending, this is Tim O'Brien again, and you guys all know me. So Tim, anything else you want to add?
No, just wanted to thank you very much for a great day and fantastic guide. Loved seeing some of the plants and getting out.
Yeah, it was a good day. We'll have to do this again.
Indeed.
Absolutely. All right, until next time, get out and explore. Take that path less traveled. It will make all the difference. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.